Hello and good evening. My name is Lashek and welcome to today's political hissy fit. In what people are calling the dumbest episode of the worst political thriller ever watched, Rudy Giuliani stars as the guy who butt dials an NBC reporter not once, but twice. Have you guys heard about this? Watch the video.
They don't want to investigate because he's protected. So we got to force him to do it. And the Ukraine, they were investigating him, and they blocked it twice. So what the president was, you can't keep doing this. You have to investigate this. And they say it will affect the 2020 election. So, Charles would have a hard time with a fraud case because he didn't do any due diligence. Tomorrow, I got to get you to get on Bahrain. You got to call. Got to call Robert again tomorrow. Is Robert around? The problem is, we need some money. We need $200,000.
So he's discussing a need for a few $100,000, likely a payment of some sort, and a need to investigate the Bidens. Even acknowledges the prospect of interfering with the 2020 elections. And yet he hasn't been arrested. It's entirely possible that the Matrix movie was right, and we're all just living in some sort of computer simulation. And the computer that's controlling our reality has developed a really good sense of humor. We were once worried about Hillary's email server not being protected, and now we have to worry about the president's closest advisor leaking top secret information via poop funnel. Oh, next. Breaking news today, Trump did not screw something up, and that's kind of depressing. In a press conference on Sunday, Trump confirmed that ISIS leader Al-Baghdadi was killed in a U.S. Special Ops raid in Syria.
Baghdadi was vicious and violent, and he died in a vicious and violent way as a coward, running and crying. This raid was impeccable and could only have taken place with the acknowledgement and help of certain other nations and people. I want to thank the nations of Russia, Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, and I also want to thank the Syrian Kurds for certain support they were able to give us.
I guess he told Russia that he needed a win after the blowback of leaving the Kurds in Syria. So Russia probably handed him this ISIS leader, and that way Trump could have his Obama moment. Just saying that he seemed awfully appreciative of Russia in his announcement speech.
Russia treated us great. They opened up. We had to fly over certain Russia areas, Russia-held areas. Russia was great.
Trump was also quick to point out his own involvement in bringing down this terrorist.
I've been looking for him for 3 years. I've been looking for him. I started getting some very positive feedback about a month ago.
I'm just wondering how long before Trump claims he planned the attack, participated in the attack, and personally pulled the trigger.
Well, I'll tell you, from the first day I came to office, and now we're getting close to 3 years, I would say, where's Al-Baghdadi? I want Al-Baghdadi. And we would kill terrorist leaders, but they were names I never heard of. They were names that weren't recognizable, and they weren't the big names. Some good ones, some important ones, but they weren't the big names. I kept saying, where's Al-Baghdadi? And a couple of weeks ago, they were able to scope him out. These people are very smart. They're not into the use of cell phones anymore. They're very technically brilliant. They use the internet better than almost anybody in the world, perhaps other than Donald Trump.
Trump makes this Al-Baghdadi guy sound so infamous, like everybody should know him. It sounds like a rapper's name. Honestly, I've never heard of this guy.
I've been looking at this. I'm here almost 3 years. I've been looking at this for 3 years. They'd come in, sir, we have somebody under. I said, I don't want somebody. I want Al-Baghdadi. That's the one I want. They'd say, well, we have somebody else. I said, that's great. Fine. Take him out. But I want Al-Baghdadi. That's who I want. I don't want other people.
However, I will be curious to see who rises to take his place from the prisoners who went free because of Trump's failure in Syria.
We actually had a robot.
Did Trump say he had a robot there?
Right. We actually had a robot to go in the tunnel.
I want to know more about this robot.
but we didn't get it because we were tracking him very closely. But we had a robot just in case, because we were afraid he had a suicide vest on, and if you get close to him and he blows it up, you're going to die. You're going to die. He had a very powerful suicide vest.
I can already say this robot would be a more qualified president. My favorite part was that they were able to extract a DNA sample, test it on scene, and confirm who it was immediately, despite the fact that Trump said the guy ran into a tunnel with other people and blew everybody up, collapsing the tunnel in the process.
They should see how he died. He didn't die a hero, he died a coward. Crying, whimpering, screaming, and bringing 3 kids with him to die, a certain death. And he knew the tunnel had no end. I mean, it was a closed end. They call it a closed end tunnel.
Kind of DNA test done, or
so that's another part of the genius of these people. They have his DNA, more of it than they want even, and they brought it with them with lab technicians who were with them, and they assumed that this was Baghdadi. They thought visually it was him. But they assumed it was him, and they did an on-site test. They got samples. And to get to his body, they had to remove a lot of debris because the tunnel had collapsed. But these people are very good at that. And they, as I said, they brought body parts back with them, et cetera, et cetera. There wasn't much left. The vest blew up, but there are still substantial pieces that they brought back. So they did an on-site test because we had to know this. And it was a very quick call that took place about 15 minutes after he was killed, and it was positive. This is a confirmation, sir.
Who would have thought they'd bring shovels, not to mention they'd be carrying the lab technicians, a certified DNA profile of Al-Baghdadi, and the equipment needed to test it and compare it on scene. 15 minutes? Sounds like Ancestry.com needs to step up their game.
And there was something really amazing to see. I got to watch it along with General Milley, Vice President Pence, others in the Situation Room. And we watched it so clearly.
How did you watch this?
Well, I don't want to say how, but we had absolutely perfect, as though you were watching a movie.
What's also kind of odd is here's a guy who has soldiers risking their lives. He's ordered them to take another human life. He's watching it all unfold, and he's impressed with the excellent camera quality that he's getting. Like, I don't even know how that would register to somebody. Like, wouldn't you be more focused on whether or not you made the right call? I remember the scene in the Situation Room when Obama had ordered the strike on Osama bin Laden, and it looked intense in there. Trump's Situation Room looked like they were watching football. I wouldn't know he's risking the loss of human life right there. Next. So a federal judge on Friday ordered the Justice Department, Barr's Justice Department, to give House Democrats secret grand jury material from Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. Here's a quote from the judge. Justice Department must turn over grand jury material to House Democrats. Hopefully Barr doesn't struggle with the word must the way he did with the word suggest.
I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest. I mean, there have been discussions of matters out there that they have not asked me to open an investigation, but...
Perhaps they've suggested?
I don't know. I wouldn't say suggest.
Hinted?
I don't know.
Inferred? You don't know. Okay.
Mind you, Trump did ask Barr to help Giuliani dig up dirt on Biden at the time that Kamala Harris had posed her question. So by pretending not to know what the word suggest meant, saved Barr from committing perjury. That's how slick these buggers are. Damn. Like, what would have happened if Trump, Giuliani, and Barr were not caught up in the ploy to dig dirt on the Bidens and force Ukraine's president to launch an investigation into the Bidens? Then Trump would have used whatever information he concocted against Biden at the most opportune time, probably when Biden would be the Democratic pick for president, thus changing public sentiment towards Biden and then winning himself the presidency all over again. How that isn't election tampering, I don't know. whatever GOP or Republicans can say that is not election tampering do not know what democracy is and should be taken out of office. Okay, here we go. Must. A pungent body odor, usually derived from exhaustion and originating in the armpits. There you go, Barr, now you know. What the judge should have done was disbar Barr, if that's the thing. I'm just curious, what's going to compel Barr to hand over the documents? He's ignored subpoenas, won't he just ignore the court order? Like, he's been fighting tooth and nail to keep these redacted Mueller report documents from House Democrats. There must be something in there that he's trying to hide. And why is it that Barr started an investigation into the Mueller investigation a week ago? Will he be arguing that he can't release these documents pending a new investigation? After all, whenever there's a coincidence with these people, it always turns out to be something more than just a coincidence. It always turns out to be illegal. Next. You remember when Trump claimed to be withholding military aid from Ukraine to force Ukraine to battle corruption? But now it turns out that even before the military aid became an issue, Trump had put forward a bill to cancel funding for Ukraine's anti-corruption bureau. Stay tuned as Republicans figure out a way to spin this. You know, I like how Trump supporters voted for Trump because he was a man that means what he says and says what he means. But now, when you ask them about something that he said, they'll try to tell you what he meant. Like, how is Mexico paying for the wall? And speaking of the wall, the Trump organization has just laid groundwork for a new hotel right on the Mexican border, calling it the Trump Hotel and Detention Center. Trump Jr. was quoted saying it won't be the prettiest of the Trump properties, but they know that the rooms will at least be filled. Just kidding, that's not happening. And another thing that's not happening there is building of the wall. It turns out that 166 miles of Trump's border wall needs to be built through Texas. Only problem? 4 of those miles are on federal property. The other 162 miles is on private property, and private landowners don't want to give up their property to the government. Texans resist giving their land to the government. Shocking. Next! And now on the lighter side, it looks like the new Sonic trailer just came out.
No estaba haciendo nada.
Estaba haciendo nada.
Some say he's still running to this day. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching and for subscribing and for liking. And join me in the next one. Later.